If you break an ISA rule, you could face penalties, and over the last 3 years, each year, HMRC has recovered over £1 million in interest and penalties because of the mistakes that I'm about to share. I'm a qualified chartered accountant and experienced tax advisor. First, let me remind you of why ISAs are such powerful wealth building tools. Lots of people think that ISAs are for beginner investors who want to save some money, but actually lots of wealthy investors max out their ISA contributions every year because they know that all of the future growth within that ISA is fully protected from tax. Let's say that you were able to invest the full £20,000 contribution into your stocks and shares ISA every tax year. And let's say that you did that for 30 years, which would be £600,000 invested, which is a lot of money, but it could have grown to £2.5 million, assuming an average annual return of 8% in a stocks and shares ISA. And that growth would be fully protected from UK income tax and capital gains tax. So it pays to understand how ISAs work. And with that in mind, let me get to the first mistake that people are making, which is not transferring your ISA pot properly. One of the easiest ways to accidentally lose your ISA tax protection is by moving your ISA pot to another ISA pot and not doing it the official way that HMRC want you to do it. Because under the current rules, you can usually transfer part or all of your ISA to another provider or to another type of ISA. And you might do that for a number of reasons. You might have found a better interest rate on a cash ISA. You might want to consolidate lots of old ISAs that you've collected over the years. Or maybe you've got £50,000 in a stocks and shares ISA and you want to put a deposit down on a house or pay for your kids' tuition. So you want to put it into a cash ISA because cash ISAs are less risky than stocks and shares ISAs, right? So if you're worried about the market having a dip, you might want to take a less risky approach if you're planning a big purchase. So those transfers are not subject to the usual £20,000 contribution limit that apply to ISAs every year. By the way, that £20,000 is changing. So from the 6th of April 2027, if you're aged under 65, you'll only be able to put a maximum of £12,000 into a cash ISA within the overall £20,000 ISA contribution limit each year. But let's say that you do want to make a transfer like that. Well, you would need to use your new provider's official transfer form to keep it within the ISA, which means that it's kept within the tax wrapper and it keeps that tax protection status. Let's say that you decide to withdraw the money yourself and put that money into a new ISA of your choosing. At that point, you've not used HMRC's official process, and so you could be subject to tax. Using our £50,000 example, you would have exceeded the current £20,000 contribution limit into a cash ISA, and so the £30,000 excess subscription would be removed from the ISA and any associated returns would be subject to the usual tax rules. Another change that you need to remember that's happening from the 6th of April 2027 is that for under 65s, there is going to be a transfer ban from moving money from a stocks and shares ISA to a cash ISA. So if you're under 65, if you're planning a big purchase, if you need to sell some of your holdings in your stocks and shares ISA, you might need to think about doing it sooner, depending on your risk appetite and whether you do need the money in the short term. With transfers, there can also be charges and penalties, so make sure that you do check with your ISA provider before doing anything. The next mistake is playing it too safe too early. I made this mistake when I first started saving money in my early 20s because I put everything into a cash ISA. Arguably, I wanted to buy a house quite quickly and I was able to in my mid-20s, which meant that I had to have money readily available. But I do wish that I had put some money into a stocks and shares ISA way earlier than I actually did, because it would have meant that my money could compound for longer and I could have ended up with way more money over the long term. Investing earlier gives your money more time to compound, and even though markets go through periods of losses, staying invested over the long term has historically produced returns that outpace inflation. Compounding basically means that you earn a return on the money that you invest, but you also earn a return on the returns that you've already made. I think it's quite hard to understand with that kind of explanation, so I want to just give you an example with some simple numbers so that you can see how this works. Let's say that you invested £10,000 into a broad market index fund through a stocks and shares ISA. Over 20 years, assuming an average annual return of 8%, you could have made £46,000. I've used 8% because it's broadly in line with the long-term historical return of the stock market when adjusted for inflation. Now let's say that you'd invested that money 10 years earlier. So over a 30-year time period, you could have made £100,000 on your initial £10,000 investment. 10 years earlier than that, and you could have made around £217,000 on the same £10,000 initial investment. And that's because you've given more time for compounding to really take effect, and you've let compounding do all the heavy lifting for you. You've invested the same amount of money, but you've stayed invested over the long term, and that's where compounding really works best. Remember that investments can go down as well as up, and returns are never guaranteed. You also need to remember that investing usually works best over the long term. So if you need money within the next few years, then investing in the stock market might not be the best option for you. But the best thing with all of this is that if you invest through a stocks and shares ISA, all of those future returns are free from UK capital gains tax and income tax, as long as you keep the money within the ISA, because it acts as a tax wrapper. So that £200,000 gain that you've made on the £10,000 initial investment would be completely free of tax. I didn't do this early enough. A cash ISA was absolutely right for my short-term goal of being able to buy my first home, but I do wish that I had started putting money into a stocks and shares ISA younger and been less afraid of the risk. If you're thinking about investing through a stocks and shares ISA, a really good option is trading 212, because it's got such low fees and you can invest with small amounts. I also invest through trading 212. If you use my code Kiran, Kiran, you can receive a free fractional share. So if you are thinking of investing, I will leave a link in the description, and I'll leave a QR code on the screen as well. Terms apply, and remember that your capital is at risk when you invest. The third mistake is leaving your cash ISA on a terrible interest rate. Like the last mistake, HMRC don't care if you do this, but it can mean that you miss out on potential returns and leave money on the table. And that's when you open up an ISA, you put money into it, maybe you continue contributing to your cash ISA every month, but then you forget about it, and maybe the interest rate drops after a couple of years, because usually ISA providers offer a high rate to attract new customers. Let's say you've managed to get £50,000 into your cash ISA, and a difference of 2% interest would be £1,000 a year. So that's a lot of money to leave on the table. You can change ISA providers if you find a better interest rate elsewhere, as long as you use HMRC's official transfer process, like I talked about in point 1. So you need to make sure that you use the new provider's form. Don't just take the money out of your ISA and then pay it into a new ISA yourself, because then you will lose that tax-free status on that pot of money that you've built up. It only takes a few minutes. Your new provider should take care of it for you. So if you haven't checked your cash ISA interest rate, then let this be your reminder to do it. and consider making a transfer if you do have a cash ISA and you could be earning more interest elsewhere. The final mistake is on junior ISAs. This mistake is one that HMRC say that they do have to regularly deal with as an actual breaking of the rules, and that's where people try to withdraw money from a junior ISA before their child turns 18. You're not allowed to do this because you can actually only withdraw money from a junior ISA in very limited circumstances when the child's under 18. Otherwise, you have to wait until they're 18, and then at that point, the ISA becomes theirs to control. Junior ISAs are great because you can contribute up to £9,000 per year for each child, and they get those amazing tax benefits and compounding advantages as well. I have them for both of my children. I think that everybody should have them for their kids, but you do need to remember that the money is tied up until they are 18. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already because it helps it to grow. Thank you for watching. See you next time.